Oh, something isn't right. Fun fact, I go to Starbucks every single day, 365 days a year, and I've been doing this for 7 years. Let me explain. Brickey here, and friends, today I'm going to explain why I probably spend about $3,000 a year on Starbucks and why I think that is a great deal. Before I can explain, let me show you my top 3 Starbucks that I visit in my neighborhood. This Starbucks is the fast one. It's on a busy street. There's always street parking. Walk in, grab it, get it, go. But this one doesn't have the vibes. So this one I only go to every now and again. It's also particularly great to go to at the end of the night because you can literally just walk in, grab exactly what you need, and boom, you're out of here. So it's fast, it's convenient, but the vibes aren't right. It also feels incredibly dangerous getting in and out of your car. In fact, I have to use this feature on my car to see if it's safe to get out. Now, from someone who's a complete prosumer, let me tell you, never ever buy your Starbucks from a grocery store Starbucks. It's not the real deal. It's a licensing deal. You will not get the same product, especially if, like myself, you like the cold bevies, because their cold brew, their iced coffee is not the real deal. I believe it's made with a mix or something like that. So this is no bueno. But lucky for me, there's a real Starbucks right down the way, and this Starbucks has something that is completely unique. This is my second favorite Starbucks. Let me explain. It's in a completely unique setting. Very, very nice cast baristas, but there is one problem. It gets tight in there, and as you can see, there's a very, very tight pinch point. And sometimes when people aren't familiar with this location and they just stand there, nobody can figure out how to come or go. So sometimes it's a little bit difficult to get in and get out, but it does have a bookstore next to it. So if I do a midday stop by, you can dip into Barnes & Noble and remember what a lost civilization of brick and mortar retail felt like. But now let me show you a feature that makes this one of the most unique Starbucks I've ever been to. The only Starbucks that I know of that is accessible by boat. You can pull up on the back end, dock your boat, go over to the Starbucks, grab your tasty beverage, and you're back on your way to your yacht rocking. That's pretty cool. And during the pandemic, this was a place where I would come, get my coffee, sit, and just think about what my life used to be like and how I didn't like how it was currently like. Why this insane thing that I do every day is so important to my productivity, my mental health, and my overall just vibe as an entrepreneur. All right, there is one more that I go to the most. So I typically come in here, sit in the back corner, look at my phone, make my plan for the day, just kind of reboot my brain. It's wild in here. I love the vibe, I love the energy, but let me explain to you why this is one of the most important rituals for me, being somebody who's worked from home for just about 3 decades now. Because this is a very important part of my overall productivity. This location has a patio. It has neighborhood vibes, dogs, families, old guys sitting out here on this patio, talking shop. Like, I've come here after, major elections, major world events, and I've just kind of heard people talking about their lives. Views not always the same as mine, but it just kind of gives me a window into the world. And I think when your world is one small room, it's so important to find a way to reconnect. Okay, let me break down how this all came about and why I believe this is some of the best advice I can give to anybody who's suffering from loneliness, working from home, and just trying to find structure in your overall creative process or your workflow process. But first, let's go to the beach, which is also why I love this location, because it's insanely close to the beach, 2 blocks away. I guess I didn't think about having 3 drinks, but there's a very important lesson inside of these 3 drinks. I'll explain. So this is the mindset behind this bizarre tradition and life expense, is that I believe that when you're at home, you are one version of yourself. There, you're a husband, a wife, a mom, a dad. You have a very specific role when you're inside your home. We'll say that's this guy right here. But when you go to work, you become somebody else. You become an executive, you become a president, you become a creator, you become that other version of you. And there's different parts of you that have to snap into place, because that person needs to be that way to be successful. That version of you is this guy right here, professional you. But the problem is between the spaces of those 2 roles is something that you've probably taken for granted all of your professional life. And I realized that when I didn't have this, something was missing. And that is the part of you that happens during your commute. The commute version of you is so important, because that's the transformation from family person to professional person. In that commute, you become somebody different. And that is why I get up every morning, sometime between 5:30 and 7:30, and I go to Starbucks. Because in that drive, in going out into the world and getting my morning coffee, I give myself the ability to transform from the guy that lives there to the guy that works there. So often people will tell me, that's over $2,000 a year. And my morning Starbucks isn't my only Starbucks. So the addiction is probably somewhere between $2,500 and $3,000 a year. Because, a great American pastime is spending other people's money. But I simply reply, what's more expensive? Going to Starbucks every morning or renting an office in LA? And I think you see, I'm actually saving a lot of money. So very importantly for me, it's the act of the transformation. It's getting out of my home and becoming the professional me. And it's also an indication that it's now work time, and it flips that mental switch. And I don't think for $5.50 a day, that's too much to ask for. And by no means am I advocating that you need to go to Starbucks, but I'm suggesting find your Starbucks. Find your place that you can go to that will allow you to do that transformation if you find yourself working at home and if you find yourself struggling to get started. Because getting started is always the hardest part of the process. But once you get going, you get flowing, there's no stopping you. And if you're curious about my order, Trenta cold brew, extra ice, light splash of half and half. This is my beverage. And also, how did I fall in love with Starbucks? I grew up in the 90s. Coffee shops in the 90s were full of very, very pretentious people. I never felt welcomed. I didn't speak their language. And it kind of always irritated me that there was always a guy in a booth writing a script for a movie that he knew he was never going to make. I knew he was never going to make it. And I kind of thought that it was a bunch of posers. My vibe has always been, If you're not doing it now, you're never going to do it. So to be around a bunch of people that were talking about what they're going to do so they can impress each other, it just never was my vibe. Yes, Starbucks is corporate. Yes, they are big, but that also gives me the availability to go to a Starbucks wherever I'm at in the US to keep this tradition alive, even when I'm working from the road. They made it easy. They made it convenient. And at the end of the day, I'm not trying to change the world around me. I'm just trying to change the world inside me. And side bonus, it makes it incredibly easy for all your family to know what to get you for your birthday and your Christmases. The amount of Starbucks cards I get is insane, and I'm always grateful because I use them. Friends, from the edge of the coast here in Long Beach, getting ready to start my day. Thank you so much for showing up. Leg is feeling better. I'll keep you posted on the results, and I'll see you back here tomorrow, maybe? This was the hardest part of the shoot, because if I spill one of these coffees, I lose my analogy. And fun fact, for my fans of continuity, it didn't work right the first time. I spilled coffee all the way down the front of my shirt, so I had to button up my outer blouse. A little BTS for you.